let me add another layer to this, different than what I had planned to talk about. But Angel Reese today, this morning, tweeted out, "Protect young women in sports." She just tweeted that out this morning. It's got 2 million views at this point. And I had to give Angel Reese credit last week, WNBA draft. That was a marvelous success where the overwhelming majority of those women presented themselves as women. And they were as attractive as tall women could possibly be that are athletic like them. And to me, that's a credit to Angel Reese. She's gone overboard with it, but she's made it cool to lean into the feminine, sexy side of being an athlete. And now to hear her potentially tipping her hat that she may be a baby Riley Gaines, like, Angel Reese, I may be back at it again. Like, Angel Reese is bringing a lot more to the table than I anticipated.
So a couple of things, Jason. I actually have a column up today on the Blaze on this very topic with the WNBA, basically echoing your sentiments, right? The WNBA needs to be more feminine and less feminist, right? They need to have Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark channel the spirit of Magic and Bird in the mid-'80s, like what they did for the NBA, and not the spirit of Hillary Clinton and Gloria Steinem. Because the thing is, if people want to see Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese make more money, more people need to come to the games. And people are not going to come to the games if they hate the players. And they are going to hate the players if you allow feminists to be the spokespeople for the league. So to me, I think, I hope, because this is always the issue. It's not the initial statement. Because sometimes they say things, people say all sorts of stuff on social media. You have a thought, you go to Twitter and you type it out. The question is always, how will they respond to the backlash? And we saw Macy Gray go from telling Piers Morgan, I know what it means to be a woman. I've been a woman all my life, to telling, Hoda on Today's Show, well, being a woman is a vibe. That took 1 week. We seen them back down Michael Parsons when he made some comments about Brittany Griner and saying, hey, we left a Marine over in Russia. That's not good with me. Then he backed down. That took about 3 hours. So the question is not whether she'll make the statement. The question is she prepared to stand her ground, 10 toes down, all 6'4", and say, I'm a woman, I'm speaking up for women's sports, and that's what it's going to be. If she's willing to do that, then what you will see is all the people, and this is a different column I wrote for the Blaze, who criticize Emmanuel Acho for a light, delicate criticism of Angel Reese will now be taking the Acho position and saying, well, Angel Reese is transphobic. She's a bigot. This is not who we stood up for. She's taking the wrong position. Soon she's going to be voting for Donald Trump. And you'll see the side switch. Because as I said, it's not just about race and sex. It's about a person being willing to be a mouthpiece for leftist, Marxist, progressive ideology.
Delano, if I had to bet, and I want you to, we're going to go Dave Portnoy and lay some big bets down here. Angel Reese is not going to back down here. And I'll tell you what, I think she knows it's about to rain on her financially for taking this stance. That she has figured out what I figured out like last week is like, oh man, she's a tastemaker. She is a legitimate influencer, and playing this feminine role is going to make her relevant and more money than this is like somewhat of the good of capitalism of like, she just had a year of name, image, and likeness business school at LSU, and she's figured out her brand. And this feminine brand is actually going to make money for her, and she will withstand this backlash. I don't think she folds, and I'd be willing to bet quite a bit of money she will not fold. What say you?
Well, Jason, I've never been a gambler, man, but if I was, I definitely would take the opposite side of that bet And I would be glad to cash your check in about 2 months at most. It won't even take that long, because the thing is, and what I've learned over the course of a lifetime, and even over the last coming up on 3 years, rocking with you and the Blaze, is that the number of people who are willing to be a Jason Whitlock, a Clarence Thomas, Candace Owens doesn't even have the track record to this point. I'm talking about people who are willing to stand in the public square, Black people who are willing to stand in the public square, taking positions that the culture completely disagrees with, and willing to take the scorn, the hatred, the name calling, the loss of opportunities, right? The number of people willing to do that for an extended period of time, for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, is extremely small, extremely. She's going to have handlers. She's going to have PR reps. She's going to have media coaches. She's going to have all of the, I was about to say something. She's going to have all of the other women in the WNBA who play for a different team in their spare time, in their personal lives, all of them wanting to teach her a lesson, to haze her, and not, let alone turn her out. That's a different conversation. All of these people are going to apply pressure to Angel Reese. And the number of people that I've ever met or ever seen, particularly Black folk, and especially Black women, who are willing to stand up under all that pressure is extremely small. I mean, you could fill, you probably couldn't even fill a dollar van, that got 13 passengers seating. Very small. So no, I would take the other side of that bet, and I would gladly cash your check in about 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, so just and this is fascinating. I want you to just think it through a little bit, and maybe you've already considered this, but what happened last week at the WNBA draft was not just all by happenstance. The league was in on that. Kathy Engelbert, she was dressed, the commissioner of the WNBA, she was dressed the way she was dressed intentionally. I think they had conversations all behind the scenes. We're going to put a very feminine face on this WNBA draft. We got the wind at our back. We're about to sell. Because all of these old school, like take a Pat Summitt, take a Kim Mulkey. They used to be we're called the Lady Vols. We're called the Lady Texters. They all were adamant. Pat Summitt had a kid. She, I don't know what she died as, but she was not homosexual. Kim Mulkey is heterosexual, and all of them actually believe in this and used to stand firm on that. And again, you got a Martina Navratilova who's gay, and she's against the whole transgenderism thing. I just think the WNBA is in support of what I don't think Angel Reese is just going rogue here. I believe she's heard a message from the WNBA. We're going all feminine in our promotion. The Brittany Griner thing was a bust. They thought, we're going to bring Brittany Griner out of this prison, and she's going to be this mega star, and everybody, they tried to push her, and ESPN was writing updates. Brittany Griner this, and Brittany Griner farted today, and it smelled like roses. News story after news story. Her team finished in last place, and no one cared about Brittany Griner. You can't sell that. You can sell what they marketed last Monday and what college basketball marketed with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark all year. You can sell women playing basketball that are actually women and proud to be women.
Well, I mean, you can sell it, right? But I think this is like, that the biblical parable about the sower sowing seed, right? What we're seeing is the seed dropping. We have no idea what type of ground that it's on, and only time will tell. And what I'm saying is, I think there's a similar dynamic playing out here with the WNBA, right? And I take, let's say I concede every point you made in terms of it being intentional. This is no different than what you analyze and criticize with respect to the Stephen A. Smiths and the Bill Maher's of the world, which is they're going to give the popular culture enough signaling to say, hey, we're reconsidering what the left has been pushing for so long, and then 30 seconds later, they're going to come back and reaffirm their progressive bona fides and say, well, but I'm not full Trump. I'm not going to go that far. I just think that we should reconsider how far we've been pushing things. And what I'm saying is, it's quite possible, and I think the most likely scenario is that the WNBA is saying the same thing. They realize that the league has been way too political. Right now, the thing is, you can't change the fact that the WNBA is full of 6'4" and 6'5" women. The only other place you're going to see such a large collection of women of that stature is on a volleyball court, and the volleyball players tend to have a different aesthetic. So you can't help that, but you can help being a political league. And the WNBA has been far more political than the NBA and the NFL, by the way, because they think that this is our way to get into the mainstream, to take a knee for Jacob Blake, to put on BLM shirts, to say vote Warnock. And they realize that's failed. So what they do, they'll wave their hands and say, oh, look, we'll put some actually, women who look like women up on stage while still sort of doing the same thing behind the scenes. Because the thing is, if the WNBA turns and says we want to rebrand as a more feminine league, what are they going to do about the, 35, 40% of the women who are out of the closet? The Elena Deladons and the women, the Brittany Griners and the women like that. What are they going to do about all of those women? Because they're not going to take that quietly. So no, I don't think that the WNBA is in the sort of midst of a full rebrand.
Here's what they're going to do. Here's what they're going to
Okay.
do. I got an answer for you. Here's what they're going to do. You have never driven a single rating point. This is a TV show. And Diana Taurasi, we appreciate all the points you scored. No one bought a ticket. No one turned on their TV to watch you play. We don't need you. And so Angel Reese, not even that skilled and doesn't really do exciting things on the basketball court. But people bought tickets and ratings jumped partially because of Angel Reese and her persona. Obviously, Caitlin Clark drove a lot of ratings and is bringing a lot of excitement. Brianna Stewart, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Della LaDon, all the rest of you, Brittany Griner, see you. No one even will know that you're not here because nothing any of you do is very exciting or very pleasurable to the eye in watching sports. They're extras in a TV show, and we finally have a few stars on the way, and they've bought in. Camila Cardosa, again, presented herself. That's as attractive as you can be at 6'7", the way she's presented herself. The best you can do. She did. People will watch that. If I'm sitting there where I'm watching, they're actually happy being women. I don't care that they can't jump over the Sunday newspaper. I can't. This is below the rim, as I said. If they make a movie about it, it's going to be called Below the Rim. But this will work. What they've been doing won't work. See you, and I wouldn't want to be you.
I think I agree with your sentiment. I disagree with your numbers. Imagine if David Stern, early 2000s in the Iverson era said, look, all of these guys with the full sleeves and the cornrows and so on and so forth, this is bad for our image and bad for our branding. So see you later, guys. I mean, that sounds good, but the problem is if that's 40% of your league, where are you going to get the other people from? So the WNBA and the NBA do not have the same imaging problem. Let's just say in terms of sex and sexuality, right? Because I think that's sort of the unspoken thing there, right? When Candace Wiggins a few years ago said she felt bullied as a heterosexual player, and they basically tried to say, oh, I never experienced that. Like there's a there. The number of domestic violence issues in the WNBA is something that an investigative journalist would have a field day on. People forget Brittany Griner, again, pleaded, I think, no contest to abusing, I think this was her first wife. So the WNBA, a significant part of their labor base is part of the, as you call them, the alphabet mafia. And thinking that you can sideline them diminish their impact or all out get rid of them is like thinking you're going to get rid of, the gay males in your hair salon and still have enough people to do a pressing hold on a Sunday morning. It's not happening because it's just too many people. This is not one or two individuals like in the NBA. This is 35, 40, 45%, even more. And those are just the ones that are out.
I think it's like 75% of the league, but there's 30, there's a strong 35% that are out and present themselves. Look, some of those women on stage at the WNBA draft, they're alphabet mafia. The prettiest one, the girl from Ohio State. I was like, holy cow, look at her. Oh my God. Then I went and looked at her Instagram. Saw her and her girlfriend. I was like, are you kidding me? These Ohio State athletes should be embarrassed. Whoever the star of the Ohio State football team, I'm gonna keep scanning over to the right. Oh yes, she's in the white sleeveless deal next to Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I could have picked that up.
I was like, oh, that broke my heart. I mean, it just broke my heart. I was like, unbelievable. And you guys at Ohio State, you should be embarrassed that y'all let a woman pull that. But anyway, this was far more. I didn't expect it to go here, but thank you so much. Great job Jason. As always. Help us grow the Fearless Army. Pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with all of your fearless friends.